Hi everyone, welcome to a new devlog. This episode is going to be a bit different because my plans have changed a bit. As you may know, the life of indie devs can be a bit unstable, with ups and downs. In my case, I find myself in the need to find alternative income while I continue the development of my video game. After careful consideration, I have decided to create some assets for the Unreal Marketplace to see how it goes. So I thought it would be a good idea to document the process from the beginning. One of the first things to do is to sign up in the marketplace. Curiously, it was quite difficult for me to find the access. It is located in the top menu under the name Submit Content. In my opinion, a very subtle naming. It would be better something more obvious like become a seller or start selling. But anyway, once you access it, you have to fill out a form with your personal and your tax information. And then the second step is to activate the Hyper Wallet from PayPal. But no worries because all of that happens under the umbrella of the Unreal Market. When you have activated the Hyper Wallet, you will receive an email notifying that the registration process has been successful and you can start selling. You will be notified that for the first product, they will do an extensive review to make sure that your asset meets all the quality and technical requirements. So now that I can sell, what should I sell? After looking around the marketplace and seeing what's out there, what can be improved, and what could be more in demand, I have decided to create some hyper-realistic characters, but I won't be using the metahumans. My workflow is probably more similar to the AAA studios. My first product will be a fantasy female warrior for Unreal 5. Creating characters is not something that is done quickly, so without stopping to explain each part of the process, I will explain an overview of how I create my characters. First of all, I look for references for characters that I like. I search mainly on ArtStation, Pinterest, and Google Images. To have all my references organized, I create a mood board in PureRef. That's a free application that's used for lots of artists. I'll leave the link in the description in case you are interested. Once I have the necessary references and a clear idea of what I want to do, I jump to Blender to create the character. In my workflow, I use a base mesh, which helps me to work faster, and on the other hand, by having a good base mesh, I know the general proportions of the anatomy will be accurate, which is very important for the character's appeal. The best thing about this workflow is that the base mesh has already good topology, so I don't have to retopologize the character once I'm done with the sculpt. For sculpting, I use the multi-resolution modifier, which allows me to sculpt with more resolution but also modifies the basic topology of the base mesh, so I kill two birds with one stone. In this case, I sculpt some details and features to give more personality and distance myself from the generic look of the base mesh. On the other hand, I start working on the armor and clothing. This character will have two outfits, a sexier one with fewer clothes and a more realistic one with armor. For this character, I do a combination of modeling in Blender and clothing design in Marvelous Designer. For the armor modeling, I basically use very low resolution geometry to make it easy to edit, along with the subdivision modifier to increase the resolution, the solidify modifier to give volume, and the bevel modifier, especially important to give credibility to elements like the armor. Another thing I use a lot when I model elements that are very close to the body is the shrink wrap modifier that snaps the geometry to the surface of the character. It's important to change the settings and set the snap mode to above surface, and then set the offset to the distance you want to separate the model from the character. On the other hand, I change the cursor snap settings to face, so when I move the geometry, it snaps to the closest face. As you can see, the character is taking shape quickly, but I still have to work on some elements like possibly a cape, helmet, and weapons like swords. I still have to do the low poly version, textures, and rigging, but this will be content for future episodes. I hope you find this kind of content interesting. Please let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. As always, thanks so much for watching and have a great week.